Would you believe me if I told you that worry was unnecessary? As a matter of fact, would you believe me if I told you that worry was destructive? That worry was the equivalent of praying for the very thing that you do not desire in your life. And yet, for so many of us, worry is a normal state of mind. For so many of us growing up in these households filled with anxiety, filled with depression, filled with a sense of urgency, worry was the norm. It felt as if there was nothing else but worry. All people did around us was worry about what was going to happen, what had happened, if money was going to come in, if money was going to go out, if this person was going to stay, if this person was going to leave. Everything was based around a sense of worry. And so we started to pick up this temperament or this belief system that worry served a purpose. We started to believe that in order for us to be okay or to mitigate any risk, to stay safe, we had to stay in this perpetual cycle of worry. Well, I'm going to tell you this. If you understand anything about the law of attraction, anything about universal principle, anything about how life works, you understand that what you focus on creates your life, that the thoughts, the emotions, and the actions that you continuously give into the universe or give unto life will come back and meet you as your own life experiences. Whatever you give focus to, whatever you give attention and energy to will manifest in your life. And if you are perpetually in a state of worry, you will perpetually manifest things that will make you more and more worried. You will be fear-based, and therefore all things you attract will be from a state of worry. Worry is not something to play with. Worry is something that you should be highly vigilant of, something that you should understand at its core and separate yourself from, and realize that it is not a necessary part. As a matter of fact, it is the very opposite of what you need in order to get the things that you desire, right? Most of us, we've been raised to believe that if I'm going to get a certain job or a certain test score, right? Let's start as kids. Certain test score, I got to worry about the test, worry about the test, worry about the test. And yet the worrying about the test actually brings upon anxiety, and that anxiety brings upon stress. And the more stressed we are, the worse we do on the test. Meanwhile, the kid who's lax, who's chilling, who goes in there, takes the test, does their thing, walks out early, you think to yourself, it was so easy for that person. And I'll tell you why it was easy for that person. Because they didn't come from a mindset of stress, or they didn't come from a mindset of worry that then induced stress onto the body. They were in a more relaxed space. Not saying they had no worries, no concerns at all, because I don't know for everybody's life experience. But what I could tell time and time again with those kids who seem to find things real easy, real smooth, is their belief system had them in a place where they let go of majority of worries that everybody else had. And so they had an easier time. And so this perpetuates into every area of life, right? When a person is real lax in their relationships, take it or leave it, they have fun or whatever it may be, these people actually have the best relationships. They have better relationships. People are pursuing them. Whereas somebody who's anxious and worried, is it going to work out? Is it not? They're perpetually on edge. They're thinking, what's this person going to do? Are they going to leave me? Are they going to stay? Do they love me? Do they hate? Like that anxious energy actually repels the very thing that we desire. When we chase something, the thing has to be running from us in order for us to be even chasing in the first place. And so I have to establish this before we get into how to get rid of worry, or how to release and let go of worry. Worry is not a necessary thing in our life. It is actually the detriment to most of our good. Like there's one side where the things you're worrying about won't happen, and the other side where the things that you worry about are going to manifest and happen. So either case is a lose-lose. You're never going to win with worry. So you ask me, okay, fine. I accept it. Worry is not necessary. Okay, cool. But I've been worried my whole life. How do I stop worrying? And the answer is going to be so simple, but it's going to be so straightforward that you're going to completely understand it. Because these principles are principles that a child is supposed to be able to understand. These are life principles, right? A person who has never read a piece of literature their whole entire life, has been raised in a village somewhere that is remote and that has not been touched by modern civilization, understands these principles as much as somebody who has studied this the entirety of their life. Because it is a human thing. And that truth is, letting go of worry is a process of surrendering worry, which means it's a process of literally making the conscious decision to let go of a thought based in worry. Because all worry is a thought that then turns into an emotion or energy in motion within our bodies, and that induces stress. And so, at the root of the worry, which is the thought, we have an opportunity to always make a decision. Am I going to feed into the worry by perpetuating that thought, by focusing on that thought, or am I going to allow myself to let that thought go? And this, if this is a new idea to you, if like spiritual teachings are so far removed from your day-to-day living, I want you to think about it like this. If I was holding this pen right here, or this marker, what's the best way for me to no longer be holding this marker? I would say the best way for me to no longer hold on to the marker is to let the marker go, right? That's a simple, straightforward example. It's the exact same thing with our thoughts. The power that our thoughts have is because we hold on to those thoughts and we repeat those thoughts continuously. And all a belief is a thought that has been repeated time and time again. Therefore, all a worry is, and usually we have a few, like a handful of worries that come up all the time. It's because those worries have been repeated over a lifetime. It might be worries that you had as a child of not enough money, right? Lack in the household. And so you as an adult perpetually worry about money. Whether you have it or you don't, you're always worrying about money. That thought of worry is nothing more than a thought that you've been holding onto for 10, 20, 30, 50, 70 years. That's all it is, something that you've repeated and you've given power by focusing on it, giving it attention, right? When I look at something, when I am fixated on something, I am giving it my focus. It becomes my world. And there's a depth behind that. There's a deeper aspect, which is what we give our focus to, then manifests as our very lives. The energy that we give out to life comes back and meets us as life through the circumstances, situations, interactions, and material things that come into our own orbit. So let's get back to this, right? So I have the worry thought, right? Oh my goodness, how am I going to pay the bills? I'm never able to pay the bills. And so when I look at it, I think to myself, okay, I can choose to continue to concern myself, or I can let that thought go. Now, what happens instead of like trying to force the thought out or judge the thought, like a lot of us have been taught, let's say in spiritual circles or in self-help circles, that the best way is to, like layer a positive thought on top. But for most people beginning in this process, that's actually going to do less good than it's going to do more harm than good. That's what I'm looking for. Instead of layering on top or actually triggering the negative thought by trying to force it out, you can observe the thought, look at it. So I look at the pen and say to myself, okay, I'm holding on to this pen. And instead of saying, I hate this pen so much, I hate this pen, which is just going to make me more fixated on it, right? If I hate, or I judge, if I start judging that thought, this is a terrible thought, I should never have this thought, I'm actually giving it more focus. That's the irony. Or if I'm trying to get rid of it by layering another thought, I'm actually putting more focus onto it. But when I make a decision to let something go, that means it comes from a non-judgmental place. It comes from an observational stance, right? It's like what they say, a meditative stance per se, but you're doing it in your day-to-day. I'm looking at the thought, I'm aware of the thought, and I make the decision, do I want to keep it or not? Now, again, this video is not about you have to get rid of worry, because some people are so in love with their worry, they're so addicted to their worry that they're going to hold on to it for a lifetime. They're going to hold on to the stress, the anxiety. They're addicted to that chemical, just like a drug addict.